My name is Andie, and I'm here today to show you how to do paper piecing, because our next block of the month is done by paper piecing, so that we get all these nice precise points, and you won't cut them off either. First part of that is printing. It's very important that when you print off your templates that you are actually going to sew on this square, and all paper piecing projects have it. This needs to come out printed 1 inch. If it's not, then you allowed your printer to size things. So you need to find that place where it does that and stop it from resizing so that it stays exactly this size. Okay. Nick, let's get started. Okay, your instructions have cutting pieces for you to cut out and then stack them up so that you have each precise piece ready to go. And these, I've already tried it, and these cutting instructions are good so that you have plenty of room around them. The first thing you're going to do is take one of your background pieces, which is a 2-inch square, I believe. Let me look. Yes, a 2-inch square. Now, your paper is going to be a foundation that's going to stay in here, and you're going to sew right through the paper. So, it needs to go wrong side up against your paper template. Then the next piece, which is the big 3-inch square, needs to also be there, and those two fabrics need to be right sides together. We're going to sew along this line and then flip this back. So, shall I go ahead and sew it? Okay. I sew, if it's a straight line like this from piece 1 and 2, I sew all the way from the seam allowance, which is this dotted line, to the seam allowance. I like to be tidy and cut my threads. Some people don't care and just leave them there. Some people have nice machines that actually cut the threads for you. And then I just finger press it back. You need to make sure that this red is completely covering this number 2 spot. I make sure of that by taking where it says from 2 to 4 or 2 to 3. And if you have an index card, I don't have one, but if you have an index card, you can put it right against that line so that when you fold it, it's exactly on the line. And you want to do the other side. So now, having this folded back, some people have add a quarter ruler. I can't find mine, so I'm just going to use a regular ruler and line up this folded part with my 1/4 inch on the ruler, and I'm going to cut this off so that there's only a 1/4 inch of seam allowance. And we're going to do that to both 3 and 4. This is now scraps. And now we can move to our next background piece, which is 1 1/4 by 2 inches, and see which one says 3. This one says 3 over here. Because we cut this to 1/4 inch seam allowance, we can put this fabric right sides together right on top of that. You can pin it if you want to. I trust myself. A lot of people like to pin. And then I'm going to sew on this line between 2 and 3. And you don't want to go too far over the line on this first part of the 3, but you can go all the way off the edge of the paper on the outside edge. And now when you fold this back, and I just finger press it, you can use a real little iron if you want to. And now we're going to do 4. Same size piece, 1 1/4 by 2 inches. Come apart. Right sides together for the fabrics. Because we cut this down to 1/4 inch, we have it. We're going to open it up and sew on the line between 2 and 4. It's almost like making a pineapple quilt, if you've ever done that. Now we have that. So now our next piece is going to be 5, and it's straight across, and we use one of our big triangles. I'm going to fold this back, which is easier to do if you have a postcard. And cut this off so that it's just 1/4 inch, because then that allows me to line up this big red triangle right sides together. And now we're going to sew 4, 5, 3, 5 together. Okay, I'm back. I went and found a card that I can use. So now the next one is gonna be piece 6. So we can line this right up against. It makes it easier to fold it. Right on the line. Everything is right on the line when you're paper piecing. That folded up on me because I stitched a little further than I needed to. So just make it lay down, and there's that. And if you have that add 1/4 ruler with this inside here, it will snug right up against this. But like other things I know I have, I can't find it. Okay. And then we just keep moving on Okay, I had a question about how do you know which fabric to use for which number. In our cutting instructions, it actually tells us that for section 1, where we have 8 2-inch squares for section 1 on the template. This is your template. This whole big piece is a template. And section 1 is this little triangle here. So when you do 1, you need to make sure that it goes all the way to the tip of that. The outside line, this dotted line, because later we're going to come back like I did this one and cut it off so that it really ends up only being that big. Okay? Okay, so now I've sewn all of my pieces together for this one template. Now we're going to turn this template over and we're going to cut all this extra stuff off. We're going to cut right on the seam line, which is that dotted line. So we're going to put our 1/4-inch line on the solid line. And we're going to cut all this off. And we're going to do it on all 3 sides. Oops. I put it on the wrong line. 1/4-inch on the solid line. There we go. Now once you have all of these completely full, you're going to take these and put them together. And you're going to sew on the solid lines. I should have probably finished this one up. Right sides together. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. And you're actually going to sew and make this a square. So then this one will be sewn to this one when it's finished, of course. And then you'll have squares. And then you'll put all 4 of your squares together just like any other block. And you'll have your snowflake. Okay?